Hey, what's up, y'all? Good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. My apologies for not doing a show last week. I was gone for work the entirety of the week, and when I got home, I just needed to mentally decompress. And unfortunately, I got more work travel this week. Next week, though, I'm going to go ahead and preview this. If things go to plan, my buddy Kevin Marshall from FCS Nation Radio is going to join us to talk the Southland. I'm also hoping Jamie Williams might be able to join as well if he's feeling up to it. So we'll see. We'll talk to him, see how that goes. Hey, Jim Poppin, how are you doing, buddy? Good to see you. So let's talk about what happened last week. Interesting week in the Southland. There's interest. I think there's an interesting way that the conference is playing out. But let's go through the games first. Nichols loses to Lamar. Lamar holds on to beat them 24-17, scoring with like 3 minutes left in the game to get the win. I'll say this: Aiden McCown looks like he's starting to get more comfortable as a quarterback. He played a pretty great game. Went for 237 yards, a touchdown. The thing with Aiden McCown is that he makes just some really bad decisions sometimes with his throws. I think that's some development, but it's also going to be hard with the way McCown has played to look at bringing Coleman back into the as quarterback, because I think McCown's earned his spot for Lamar. There's also been some debate on if Lamar's still a top 25 team, but I don't think you can take them out of the top 25 yet because they haven't lost their games. Yeah, they haven't looked impressive, but they're still winning. They're doing what needs to be done. Their defense is what's keeping them in games, and then their offense is doing just enough to get them across. Nichols, this isn't the same Nichols team we saw earlier this year. They started strong against an Incarnate Word team who I was going to say Incarnate Word wasn't the same team we saw week 0. I'm not convinced of that now, but Nichols, they're just not who we thought they would be. Or, well, no, I guess that's a bad way of putting this. They're not who they were week 0. Let's go through the other games. East Texas A&M takes Northwestern State to the woodshed, 40-10. Great game for Ron Pease, quarterback of East Texas A&M. He just looked really good. Threw for 268 yards, touchdown. I think it was like 14 for 19. He just looked good throwing the ball, but of course, Northwestern State is just not a good team. And their woes continue. We were so excited to see them get a week 1 win, week 0 win, whatever week it was. But this is looking like the same Northwestern State team we saw last year. I mean, enjoyable for SFA because they are a rival, but at the same time, given what happened last year or the year before, given with the murders and stuff, and given Blaine McCorkle's ability to coach, I was hoping to see a little more rebound this year, but maybe it's another year in. But I also have this opinion that you should give a coach 3 to 4 years before you actually put judgment on them because they have to recruit their players. He's still using some folks that are his and some folks that are not. So, I think more to come with Northwestern State, but we'll see how that goes. SFA beats up Incarnate Word 31-17. What you like to see, and what that means for Incarnate Word is that their playoff hopes are effectively done unless a miracle happens. Calling it now, 100% done. You can't be a 2-loss conference team in the Southland and not win the conference without and make the playoffs. And their out of conference schedule doesn't help them with that either. And this is sort of weird because this Incarnate Word team that beat up Abilene Christian looked night and day different from the team that I watched beat Eastern Washington and the team that lost to Nichols. And it's just like they Jekyll and Hyde themselves back into what that team was. And just did not look great. And SFA came in with a plan. SFA said, we are going to shut down the running game. You're going to have to throw the ball on us. And they did a great job limiting EJ Colson. Colson did throw for 300 yards, 1 touchdown, but there was not – Jalen Spears was held at 33 yards. He was the He was the top rusher for Incarnate Word. So Incarnate Word had to move the ball through the air, and SFA did a good job shutting it down. I'm going to talk about a couple of SFA players. First of all, Sam Vidlak went for 261 yards, 3 touchdowns. Why that's important is because of something we'll talk about in a second, but just keep track of those yards. Jarrell Wembley had a touchdown. Wayland had a great game. Kylon Harris had a great game. Had an amazing touchdown. It was SportsCenter's ranked 8th play on the SportsCenter top 10. And then let's talk about Southland on the defense. 16 tackles, and I believe he had 3 tackles for a loss. Like, he was everywhere. And just great win for the Lumberjacks, the win they need as well, because their out of conference resume isn't going to be great for them. They really do need to win the conference to make the playoffs, although there could be potential for a couple of teams to make it, and we can talk about that. Southeastern Louisiana continues what they're doing. 38-0, completely shut out and obliterate McNeese. Carson Camp was 10 for 12, 173 yards and a touchdown. Jackson had 64 yards rushing. It was just a dominant performance by the Southeastern Louisiana defense. You love to see it. And then UTRGV 27-7 gets their first Southland Conference win over the Sisters of the Poor. Sorry, Houston Christian, not the Sisters of the Poor, but pretty much the same thing. There's only 2 games next week, so I'm going to touch on them real quick, and then I want to talk about some of the other stuff that with the conference. First game, Lamar travels to Commerce, plays East Texas A&M. I'm calling, give me Lamar 27-14. That's roughly going to be that final, 27-14. And then Northwestern State travels to Houston Christian. Both these teams are not good. This one. Now, does Northwestern State have the wherewithal to go to CBS Field and beat Houston Christian at home, or will the woes continue? I think I'm going to take Houston Christian because Northwestern State just does not look like they have their stuff together. Give me Houston Christian 28-10. That's what I think we'll see. So, yeah. All right. Ron, I've seen this comment like 4 times, so we'll address the playoffs. Okay. We got to talk to you about patience, my young friend. Patience. So let's talk about the conference. Let's talk about the playoffs. The Southland Conference could potentially be a 2-bid team or 2-bid league, but this is kind of how and why. You've got to look at teams with a strong out of conference resume. Right now, Lamar has that. SFA doesn't have it. Southeastern Louisiana has 2 FBS losses, which won't count against them, but then the rest of their out of conference schedule is kind of meh. But here's what's going on. Here's my thought on this. So one, you got to look at, sorry, I saw this, Alex, I had to put it up. So let's look at this as a whole. SFA, I look at it as it's a 3-team race for the conference. It's CUNF Austin, it's Lamar, it's Southeastern Louisiana. Southeastern Louisiana is quietly handling their business. And that game against McNeese shows that. So let's go SFA, Lamar, and Southeastern Louisiana. So SFA is out of conference schedule. They beat Division II Sol Ross. They beat Cal Poly, who did beat the go-go offense of Sac State, which some people were ranking them for a while this year, have not deserved to be ranked at all. But they have the loss to Abilene Christian. And then they have the FBS loss to Houston. Abilene Christian loss doesn't look as bad, though. It's 28-20, really should have been 28-14, but 28-20. And Abilene Christian, as long as they stay ranked, I don't think that loss hurts SFA as much as other losses will. And then you look at Lamar. They beat South Dakota, who at the time was a ranked team. Now, was South Dakota overvalued? Yes. Is that still going to count, though, when they look at the schedule? Yes. And then I think Southeastern Louisiana has played like Murray State and a bunch of other like little bottom feeder teams. So when we look at this, whoever wins out of that triangle will obviously has the auto qualifier for the conference. So SFA but there's a catch to that too. SFA and Southeastern Louisiana do not face each other this year. SFA does play Lamar. Southeastern does play Lamar. So Lamar's got to win both those games. But then let's say SFA goes undefeated. Let's say Southeastern Louisiana goes defeated. Then all the auto bid, the tiebreaker scenarios go through, and it looks at like common opponents and things like that. And hopefully we don't have to go through that, but we'll go through that in a later show because that's going to probably involve Alex Kenkel's model to untangle if we get to that point. But yeah, so Southeastern Louisiana, they're getting votes in some folks' poll. They, to me, are just outside the top 25. I'm sure Jamie has them. If I'm guessing, Jamie has them like 33, which is probably where I think they sit. SFA's receiving votes. Lamar is solidly in the bottom half of folks' top 25. So it's those three teams for the conference. And I think that's exactly I mean, I thought SFA would be a contender in the conference. I said Lamar was my dark horse, and I'm honestly a bit shocked about Southeastern Louisiana, but big shout out to Frank Selfo. He knows how to coach. He knows how to put together a team, and he knows how to win. And he's a nice guy on top of that. Very nice guy. Got to have a good conversation with him. And then unrelated, I'm going to shout him out anyway. His son, Jordan, does another show called the Other D1 podcast that you should definitely check out. Focuses on the Southland. Him and Kyle do great work there. One other thing, I'm going to shout out another podcast because there will be an interview that if you like the Southland, you should watch. But Corey Hogue, he has the cut block, and I believe it's going to come out tonight. But he's got an interview with Travis Bush, who is head coach of UTRGV. And another nice guy as well, Coach Bush. It's really hard to not root for Rio Grande Valley because of just what they're trying to do and the fact that this is their first year. Yeah, their fans like them, but they kind of had to have a reality check a little bit. But Coach Bush, good guy. So I would say check out Corey Hogue's the Cut Block podcast and check out that interview. It should be a good one. The last thing I want to talk about is Alex's lemonade stand. Now, when Kevin comes on next week, we're going to talk pretty heavily about that. When we talk about, oh Lord. Hang on. I'm just going to bring him in. You can talk amongst yourselves. Here we go. What's up, buddy?
What's going on?
Long haircut. I didn't grab the right one. There's so many over there. Haircut, by the way. Looking professional. So what do you want to talk about? What do you want to bring up since you're crashing the sermon?
I don't know. Where were we?
Well, let's talk about rankings.
Okay.
We've already gone through the game. I was talking about the three contenders, I think, for the titles: SFA, Lamar, Southeastern at the moment. SFA is getting votes. Lamar is in folks' top 25. Where do you have Southeastern Louisiana in your 1 to 127 or 128? Whatever it is now.
I actually have them number 24, I believe, this week. 23. I've got them at 23.
So you had them in your top 25.
I do. I think they've done enough. I know they really haven't played the strongest schedule, but I mean, McNeese 38-0. That's impressive. So yeah, I like what Southeastern's doing, and I think they've really inserted themselves into any kind of discussion that you might have for the Southland title, along with, like you said, SFA and Lamar. I think it's now a 3-team race.
If we look at out of conference schedules, who do you think has the strongest right now? And out of conference resume, I guess you put it that way.
Between those, it's hard. Lamar does have the win over a still, for some reason, ranked South Dakota team. But that's about all they have. That's impressive from out of conference, and they almost let Central Arkansas back into their game. I'm just quickly looking at the out of conferences. I mean, your Cal Poly win for SFA looks a lot better. And, the loss to ACU hurts, but, you could also look at where you were in that game and just you kind of gave it away. I think you've said that for a couple weeks. In the Southeastern, they don't really have much. I don't believe in their out of conference. They're not that strong. Let's see. I mean, they have played a couple of FBS teams, though, but Murray State, Mississippi Valley State, and UTRGV outside of the McNeese State, that's not really saying much. So Lamar by a touch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, UTRGV could definitely be the fly in some people's ointment. The good thing, or the best thing for Southeastern and SFA, honestly, is they avoid each other.
Yeah, I was going to say that's what
or the worst thing.
I was going to say that to me, that seems problematic because, and this is probably something that we'll touch on closer to playoff time, but when we look at that, because SFA and Southeastern don't meet each other, let's say Southeastern goes unscathed, let's say SFA goes unscathed, they beat Lamar, you've got two folks that are undefeated in conference who have not played each other. How do you then you have to go through all the tiebreaker stuff within the conference to decide who gets the AQ.
Yeah, but I bet if you got down to a coin flip, I bet Chris would televise it.
I bet Chris would.
Yeah, he would do it on something more than just like a old flip.
No, Chris would definitely break out his cowboy hat and everything else for it. So
I might be frozen.
No, you have frozen on mine.
I'm not sure.
Uh-oh. One of us is frozen. It looks. There you go. You're back, or I'm back.
There you
One
go.
of us is back. Okay.
Okay.
So real quick, whilst I have you here, there's a question in the comment. Do you think RGV beats either Lamar or SFA?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I really don't think so. I like what they've done, but it's hard. I mean, you were just mentioning Travis Bush right before I came in, and I think they've done a good job of what they're working through out there. But no, I don't think they beat either one of those teams. I think those two are significantly better than nobody can say UTRGV. At least Ron put the letters out there, so I can just look forward and I'll read it.
I would just say Rio Grande Valley. That's all it is.
There you go.
First of all, it wouldn't be at an undisclosed truck stop. It'd be at a Buc-ee's. Okay, we're in Texas.
Let's
just keep that right. Okay,
we got a Buc-ee's 5 miles from JMU now.
Jeez, they're everywhere. No, I think so. Last thing, I mentioned this earlier. Kevin, I believe if it works out, Kevin is going to come on next week. I need to validate the date and time with him. If you're able to, I'd like for you to come on as well, and we can have a fun discussion about the Southland and what happens when teams don't play each other. Kevin will love that.
He realizes the Southland and not the SoCon,
right? He does realize that. So
okay,
awesome. Well, one last thing before I go, because it's lunchtime and my DoorDash is sitting outside.
Viva Mexico.
Yeah, and then you and I both have travels this week.
Yep.
But before I go, I want to talk. We talked about Sam Vidlak's yards, and the reason why that's going on is Alex's Lemonade Stand is a charity that the FCS partners with, and it kind of is driven by Kevin Marshall and the work that he's done. And so players from different schools, Montana State's got Taco Dowler, I think, involved with it. South Dakota State's got Chase Mason, and they raise money, obviously, for charity to help kids who are fighting the battle, against cancer. We don't have a Southland partner, but I'm going to do a donation based upon how many yards Sam Vidlak throws for, and that's going to include playoff yards too. So okay. we're doing a dime a yard. So right now, Sam Vidlak is at God, sorry, Sam. Right now, Sam Vidlak is at 1,180 yards, so he's raised $118 right now. Depending on where he ends, I may throw on a little cap basis upon touchdowns, but that's why we're tracking the yards. And Sam Vidlak, good dude, nice guy, down to earth. So we'll keep more to come. If I had time and was more creative, I'd put a Sam yard tracker up on the show, but I just don't have time for that right now. So we talked about the 2 games next week. There's not much. It's gonna be a light weekend in the conference, so make sure you check out all the other FBS action or FCS action. God, I'm tired, Jamie. Why am I doing a podcast?
Yeah, that's dedication, brother. and you might have to be me on Sunday. So
I can't be you on Sunday. I got to tell Matt
right.
that.
You're still going.
Well, I get back to Houston at like 6:30, but Matt wants to record at like 8. I'm not going to get through customs to get home before then. I could pop in at like 8:30 Get the back half of the where I thrive in the quick hit questions, but unless Matt wants to delay recording an hour, I cannot be you.
Yeah, I think it'll be live. It'll be him and Kyler. It'll be fine.
They'll be fine. There'll be enough anger from Kyler to make it a good show.
Right.
So Jamie, I know I appreciate you popping on. What else do you have for the Southland folks who are watching this? Watching this?
I think you should definitely keep your eye on the Southland race as it comes down the wire. It's going to be fun. And obviously I love the River Bell Classics. I can't wait for that one, even whether it matters for seeding or the conference or anything, that they could both be over, and I would watch that game.
Yep. That is one of the best games to watch. Them and what used to be the battle for Chief Caddo. Now it's something else. I think it's called the Chief, the log that we have between us and Northwestern State. But the River Bell Classic, I can't wait to talk about that game. Throw out the record book, throw out everything. It's just pure hatred between two teams that are so close to each other. Cool. And Jim, this is awesome. I'm glad I appreciate you matching. So we'll definitely have a tracker of what's what. But yeah, so past 2 weeks been hectic. Thankfully, next week we're back to normal, regular nighttime, prime time, get your beer out sort of show. Jamie, I appreciate you popping on. I know you've got your eyes set on a race this weekend.
That's and right. It'll be in Vegas.
Going through the motions of working today.
That's pretty much it.
Much like everybody else is. So I appreciate the time. One other thing before I go, I shared this on Twitter. There was a thing with one of the South Dakota podcasts, and while I think their fans are delusional fans sometimes, very nice guys. But one thing too, somebody put up a picture of their kids, and a burner account told them that they should go kill themselves. The kids saw it, questioned the parents about it. I'm not going to give that burner account the publicity that they're looking for with that tweet anymore, even though they are an absolute piece of shit. Yep. But my message to you is this: 1, leave people's kids alone. 2, mental health is fragile, and October is actually Mental Health Awareness Month. And the biggest lie I told in the English language, besides I've read the terms and conditions, is I'm not okay. So don't assume that people are, and don't assume that people have the most solid of mental health. Don't be a dick. That's really it. If you want to be a dick and talk about,
remember that was my life hack.
Yeah, don't be a dick is a life hack, and that falls into it. Like, don't attack people's kids. Don't tell people to kill themselves. Football is fun. Rivalries are fun, but also be better people. That's what it is. Be a better version of yourself. Have fun with it, but don't do that to someone, because the moment you tell someone to do that and then they do it, you're culpable for what happened. You drove it. So that's my message to all of you. Be good, be kind to each other. Enjoy football this weekend. Jamie, I appreciate you coming on, and we will have a good, long live show next week. Y'all have a great weekend. See you then.